Punk Rock Elite, a podcast about NOFX. Punk Rock Elite podcast. 1, 2, 3, 4. Punk Rock Elite podcast. Punk Rock Elite podcast. That's my X-Ray Specs intro.
I was going to do some oys.
That was it was good. Yeah, no, that's my that's how I like to imagine all songs on X-Ray Specs' first album is how they're introduced. Like Polystyrene screaming the name of the song, then shouting 1, 2, 3, 4, and the band starting. It's a great system.
It's a classic.
Because this is Punk Rock Elite podcast, and I'm Eddie French,
and I'm Red Redmond.
That's how you know it's Punk Rock Elite podcast. Don't go accepting any imitations. Brackets. There are no imitations.
I'm actually because normally when I do the podcast, I have a big bottle of water, but I've actually got a coffee today. I wonder if that'll affect the podcasting.
Are you going to just get sort of increasingly more pepped?
Yeah, mate. Yeah, I'm going to be out of control.
I don't know what I normally have, but today I have quadruple strength blackcurrant squash.
Yeah, we're going to be off our tits.
Yes, because I'm not 100% certain I didn't misread it as double strength. So I am vitamin C'd to the max. Because we talk about mainly punk that was popular in the 90s, you occasionally have to say things like to the max. Because that was how we did it in the 90s.
Speaking of excess as well, we're doing Coaster today, which I feel like it's the first album where like NOFX just go like run headlong into their addictions and
it is, but I should remind you we're recording the intro for Danny Barrett.
Oh fuck. I'll probably cut this bit out then.
Maybe. I might leave it because it was very, very charming how earnestly you delved into it with absolute certainty. I admired it greatly. No, actually, I'll divert because right now, if you find yourself in Leicester, UK, there is a massive exhibition of old 70s punk stuff.
Oh, that's cool.
Yep, at the Museum and Art Gallery of Leicester, and I think it's called the Soft Touch, which is a little gallery around the corner.
Mm-hmm. It's
been put on. You can hear about it in the latest episode of the Midlife Punk podcast, which has just gone out. But I was looking up on it this morning. We're currently on Thursday, the 17th of August, when we're recording this little intro. The interview you're going to hear later, recorded maybe 2 months ago, but that it's still all flies. Unless I'm pretty confident that at no point does Danny talk about how much he enjoyed Anti-Flag. Which is something I think we left in Ali Bryce's interview, which was recorded before we found out, but I don't think edited after we found out. So think of it as a period piece. We've all made mistakes, but basically, I spent this morning looking at it to the point where I just booked a hotel and 2 tickets for the Women in Punk talk tomorrow night.
Oh, cool.
So Emma and I are going down. Emma is dutifully on strike she works in the university. Strike is currently happening, so she is not going into work, and I don't have to go into work if I don't want to.
Fair.
Which is a brilliant thing about not having an actual job. So that means we're going down to Leicester tomorrow. And a talk including the reason I started off this way. Celeste Bell, the daughter of Polystyrene, is going to be one of the people involved in the Women in Punk talk.
Ah,
yes. Although I have found out it will be via Zoom because she has a very new baby.
Fair.
Which is a shame because it would have been nice to have seen her. in person, because I've not seen her since I moved from Spain in like late 2009. We've sort of kept up on the socials and what have you, but and if you are interested in that era of punk, I know we make fun of it, but you're supposed to. If you go around holding bits of punk in sort of in too high an esteem, stops being that punk, doesn't it? But her book about her mum, Polystyrene, a lovely coffee table tome, and also a movie as well. I Am a Cliche. Yeah, that one. Well, both of them well worth seeking out if you're interested in that. So that's my exciting bit. So I think it goes on, the whole thing, that really gutted. I'm doing a gig in Bristol, Veg Fest, a big vegan festival, a daytime one, on the 2nd of September. And that's the day that Viv Albertine from the Slits is doing a talk. Because ideally we would have gone to that one too, potentially, because Emma's a huge Slits fan, and I like the Slits a lot. But unfortunately, while that's happening, I will be in Bristol, which is far from Leicester, for those of you without a map handy. But the whole thing finishes on the 3rd of September. So if you can get to Bristol before, if you can get to Leicester before the 3rd of September, you can go around and the exhibition's free and stuff. They've got little extra stuff, these talks and stuff. But so go and check that out. I'll put a link in the podcast episode. So what have you been up to, Red? Any impromptu overnight stays in cities you wouldn't normally consider going to?
No, but I am about to do that, because this weekend it's one of our friends' weddings down in Oxford.
Oh.
So I'm going to a wedding, and I have to be very careful about what I say about the wedding, because my partner is in the room with me. And if I'm in any
coming
way
from inside the house,
yeah. But no, I'm very much looking forward to it. I love social engagements.
Yes, just like people who consume as much weed as you do often do. No, I'm sure you could.
She's looking at me.
For the benefit of the tape, Red did just turn to look at their partner, just to make sure that their partner was still their partner. In that way that happens sometimes.
And it is unclear.
That's what happens when you podcast caffeinated.
Absolutely true.
It's going to be bloody Joe Rogan in here before you know it. All of these mind-altering chemicals we're on. You ever do caffeine? You guys, you ever done caffeine? That shit's fucked up. Cleaned like 3 rooms in 20 minutes. Yeah, it's if people are wondering, normally Eddie whips out an impression when they're a bit more confident that it's good. Yeah, I don't like Joe Rogan enough to concentrate on his voice, so that's why. Cool. Well, that's fine. So we're both away, but we'll be back by the time this goes out. So best of luck trying to fuck up with our shit. So so that's cool. Well, today we've got Danny Barrett from the Crash Mats.
Yes.
And Horn and Hoof Records helps out there, and the Hello and Hoof podcast. Red was not available for this particular chat, so it's just Danny and myself, which is a shame, but I think it's pretty good. Danny is an incredibly enthusiastic and knowledgeable, very keen guy. And I think it shows. Check out the Crash Mats. They are really, really good fun. Sadly, we couldn't put this out before the Hello and Hoof Festival, which was in Oldham, I think, and had some good stuff. There was, we might as well. I don't know if you spotted any of this drama on the old Facebook, but for the festival, well, let me tell you. You're going to be very glad you've got a cup of coffee to clutch between both hands whilst looking scandalized, Red, I promise you. A band, one of many, were booked to do this festival. And they showed up. They'd been at Rebellion.
Yeah.
They showed up. They watched a band.
Yeah.
Then they told Danny that they wouldn't be able to play their set as they had to return to Rebellion to do press.
Which, can I add, is punk as fuck. Like, sorry guys, we can't do our punk rock show. We've got to go and talk to the press.
Well, also, when you find out one of the press that they spoke to was the Daily Express.
Oh.
Yes. For those of you from outside of the United Kingdom, the Daily Express, I don't know if they've stopped it now, but for many, many years after her death, they featured at least one picture of Princess Diana on their front covers per week.
Yeah.
Long after that woman was no longer around. Obviously, when that happened, lots of newspapers had lots of pictures on her for quite a while afterwards. I understand how news works. But when it was sort of, 2014, and they're still going, normally it was sort of, what would Diana think of Harry's wife? Brackets, she's black, the brackets were suggested, but yeah. So if you ever see the band Slacker,
wow, you're naming them and everything. This is brutal.
Nah, fuck it. Well, Slacker, but don't worry. You can tell that they're the real deal because they removed the E from their name and replaced it with another R.
Yeah, sure.
Slacker or Slack. Actually, if they were called Slack, I'd quite like it, but they're not. Also, if you have a look at them, it does look like a Gen X dad is trying to get his Gen Z kids really into the same rock as him. I don't know if Red has
this is not good press, is it?
It's not, no. But yeah, there was quite a bit of stuff on the old punk rock Facebook, which is again the least punk rock way of doing it. But this is punk rock for elder millennials. We still use Facebook, I'm afraid. But yeah, so that was quite a thing, and I just wanted to bring that up because some people might be listening, thinking, "Oh, bet Danny's got a few things to say about that." I guarantee you, he fucking does. But sadly, it hadn't happened at this point. So,
because I don't want to dwell on it, but so they drove to the gig.
They drove from Blackpool to Oldham, which is not a short. Yeah. It's not a short distance.
No, it's at least like an hour.
Oh, easy, yeah. Easy an hour, presumably with all their gear as well.
Yeah.
And then watched a band as well. Didn't even sort of if it was for whatever reason, I don't see how going to do press is more important than playing a DIY gig, like a DIY festival. If you were that punk, you'd know which side your bread was buttered. But
there was clearly a band at Rebellion that they really wanted to see.
That, or they watched the band who was on before them and went, "We can't beat that." Or I don't know. But it's mad that
it's odd. It's odd.
It is odd because let's say some mad idea that came to them and they thought, no, the honourable thing to do would be to go there and tell them to their face that we can't do this. Not going to just send a text or call up and drop them in. We're going to go there, look them in the eye and say, we're really sorry, we can't do this. There'd be some deranged honour system in that. Do you know what I mean? It's like you can sort of go, well, maybe someone would think that was a good idea. I don't, but but to turn up, watch a band and then go, oh, by the way, we're not doing this. The Daily Express want to know.
Just stay
influences are.
Just stay at Rebellion and pretend you've got a flat tire.
Just find a stock picture of someone from the AA. That's the Automobile Association. So I keep forgetting we have an international audience. Yes. Unfortunately, people go, oh, do you not have Alcoholics Anonymous in the UK? We do. It's just confusing.
Yeah.
So, an AA meeting could be getting coverage for when you break down, or it could be one step at a time, one day at a time. But either of them. Say you need to go to a meeting, that's fine. Or say you've got a flat tire, exactly. So they've pretty much blotted their copybook. If you want to hear more about that, actually, Midlife Punk Podcast, their interview with Pew Pew Pew.
Cool.
They talk about that in the intro to that. Anyway, speaking of intros, we've got Danny Barrett on now, so we'll see you on the other side of it.
See yous.
And that's happening right now. I'm joined by Danny Barrett. Danny, how are you?
Not bad yourself.
Yes, good. Thank you. Good. Thank you so much for joining us. Please introduce yourself to our listeners. Who are you? What do you do? How do you fit into the world of punk rock and all the rest of it?
I'm Danny Barrett. I'm lead singer and bass player in the Crash Mats. We've been going since 2008. We're a punk band. We play ska songs and punk songs. There's a mix of everything. For all both flavors. I put on gigs in Oldham. I've been doing that for 11 years now. So we have a lot of DIY punk bands coming from all over the world. We've got a band from Brazil playing in August in Oldham. So that's a bit of an achievement. And then for about a year now, I've been doing this video podcast on YouTube called Hello And Hoof, where I interview DIY punk bands that I know that are friends, and it's sort of an interview, sort of me taking the piss out of them for half an hour or so on the internet every week. Is fun. Fun to do. So yeah, that's myself really. Yeah, and that's called Hello And Hoof, by the way. Yeah.
Yes.
That's me really. I've been playing gigs up and down the country for a long time in the Crash Mats and having a lot of fun doing it. Yeah.
Amazing. So, who are some of the bands on the label?
At the minute, so there's ourselves. There's a acoustic act, Sally Pepper, Tio Rico, who are a little bit grungy.
Oh yeah.
And there was a band called Hummer, who were a bit sort of. I'd describe them as a bit like Warrington's No Use for a Name.
Wow. It was about time Warrington got something good.
Exactly. Yeah. But they've recently just split up. But the guys are sort of forming something new. So I'm sure we'll be putting them out. So do our best to help out bands and whatnot.
Amazing. That's great. We love having sort of grassroots promoters, and now a label and stuff like that on here. We've had a couple of the guys who work out of the New Cross Inn in London.
Yeah.
I've had Ollie and Paul from them, and all sorts of stuff, and Stu from the Face Down Club Night and stuff like that. So we've finally got a label. We've got the Northwest's own Fat Mike, the record label impresario.
Well, no, I mean, I help out with the label more than I don't own it, but I help out a lot with it and sort of like do my best with it and to help out other people. So I wouldn't say I'm the Fat Mike. I'm more the El Jefe, maybe.
I'll take the Jefe, the one who's often credited in the liner notes as the talent. Sure, why not? Good enough. I can't help but notice we don't currently video these podcasts because we just don't have the time to put into editing and stuff. But you've got all of your some of your NOFX vinyl displayed behind you.
Yeah, if I had all of it displayed, I think it'd take up most of the room and I won't be able to wander about. I have got quite a lot.
Yeah.
And I've just picked out some choice stuff just so I don't forget what I'm talking about.
Because perfect.
There's so many songs and I am a big fan of them. So yeah, I'm a bit of I'm a collector. I read comic books, I collect vinyl, and I'm really into wrestling. So I collect
wearing a Green Arrow shirt as we speak. So
well done. I like
know
that.
exactly what you mean.
I'm more Marvel man myself.
Sure.
Silver Surfer and Deadpool. That's my stuff. So
X-Men are my favorite Marvels.
Yeah, I've got a lot of the 90s stuff.
Cool.
I reread a lot of that in lockdown, so that was fun.
Lovely.
Yeah. But yeah, so NOFX, one of my big vinyl collections, along with Snuff and Band Fucked Up, which I wanted to mention to Red because he was talking about a prog rock punk band, and if he wants a prog rock punk band, listen to Fucked Up from Canada.
Oh yeah, good idea. Yeah. I'll make a note of.
Yeah, they're definitely up. They'd be up their street, definitely.
Excellent. I'll mention it to them tomorrow. That's fantastic.
Yeah.
Cool. So, you're a huge fan of NOFX. When did that start? Do you remember the first time you heard NOFX?
Yes, I do. I remember vividly the first time I heard them. So it was 96. Is when I first got into punk. So the guitarist in the Crash Mats, Senor Royales, I've known him since I was 5. Yeah, 5. And he one day, he lives around the corner from my grandma. He used to look after us on a weekend when my mum and dad worked. He came around one day with a Crass record, a Conflict record, Dead Kennedys CD, and a tape of, on one side it was White Trash, and on the other side it was Punk in Drublic.
Wow.
And he played all of this to me, completely blew my mind, and was like, right, we're starting a band now, and this is the music we're going to play.
Wow.
So that was and then I discovered my uncle was into punk back in the 70s and all that, and so we went into the loft at my grandma's house and found all his old records, all the Buzzcocks and the Sex Pistols and the Clash and stuff like the Dickies. He was really into the Dickies as well.
Oh yeah.
So I've got a load of early Dickies singles, and I just think some of that's amazing. Like even now, the Dickies and the Toy Dolls as well. He's into the Toy Dolls, so
I've been listening to the Toy Dolls a lot lately. I've sort of always known they were there, but I've only really sort of started dipping in. There's some really great stuff. I really I've always thought they were proper good fun, but forget what Olga's guitar playing is just unnecessary. Like just so surplus to requirement, but brilliant. It's so good.
The whole band, like sometimes the bass runs and stuff like that, you just think, what's going on here? What, like, you know, during lockdown, I took it upon myself to try and learn a punk song on the bass. You know, so like start off on a Monday by picking a song, and by Friday knowing it full and just, you know, not even be able to look at the tab or anything like that.
Yeah.
And I gave up by Tuesday on some of the Toy Dolls ones, definitely.
Yeah, it's insane. Although it's weird. They're like a super group now because Duncan from Snuff is in them and Tommy from Goober Patrol.
It's in them. Yeah.
It's just, you know, but then I think they're one of those that are sort of massive in. I haven't done any research, but I imagine they're massive in Japan and Germany. Yeah. And you just, you know, when you just go, I bet half of their mortgage is paid off just on those two nations, and largely, you know, you sort of go, I know where they go 3 months a year, you know.
Yeah, they know where their bread's buttered.
Absolutely, yeah, absolutely, and quite right too. Hey, if you can make a living doing what you enjoy, then you're the envy of everyone, really.
You're right. And I think there is subtle influence on NOFX as well, because I've seen Mike's face light up whenever someone mentions Toy Dolls around him. And I think there's certain songs that there are people like to say, oh, they've taken the Bad Religion harmonies, and they have in places, but there's other songs where they've taken the Toy Dolls harmonies, like Leave It Alone. That's a Toy Doll song.
It is, and also the doing a song about someone weird who you know.
Exactly. That's
That's such a Toy Dolls move, you know, or something. I mean, you know, what's one of my favorite Toy Doll songs, Fiery Jack. It's about deep heat. It's about muscle soothing ointments. And it's not like a metaphor for the government. It's just about that.
Just about that, and that's why I love them. And that's my blend of punk that I love. That stupid, fast, stupid songs about nothing. That's the sort of like corner niche that I love. But there's no name for that. So
no. There's dullcore, I suppose. After oldcore, I don't know.
Yeah, we'll
I have to call it something, you know.
Start new genre now.
Well, that's it. Well, I was listening to Krista Makes from Less Than Jake does his podcast where he goes through songs with the writers, and you know, he mainly calls up his, you know, for the first however long he was calling up his mates, so it was all punk stuff, which was really, really cool. But they had one of the Vandals, I forget which one, doing Oi to the World,
right?
And he said, well, the thing is that when we started out, we were pretty much an Oi band who didn't shout Oi because we wanted to be the Toy Dolls, who were an Oi band who didn't shout Oi.
Yeah.
And I was like, of course the Vandals are the Toy Dolls.
Of course they are. That's
but it never even crossed my mind. They got songs about having a mullet and, you know, all this, you know. I was like, it's obvious, isn't it? Oh, God.
Yeah, it totally is. They've got a song about what the Offspring getting sued by Agent Orange. So, and taking the mick out of Agent Orange for doing it. So, they're completely the American Toy Dolls, definitely.
That's wonderful. It's just one of those. I had to stop the podcast and just, you know, when you sort of receive a piece of information and the world just makes that little bit more sense. You go, whoa! So that was pretty wild. So how old were you then when you were played Crass and NOFX in the same day?
13.
Oh, wow, okay.
Yeah, so I was a Roman Catholic high school kid.
Oh, right.
And the first song he played me was So What by Crass. And that just completely blew my mind. And, I mean, we're from Oldham, so we were a bit thick, and we're, like, on top of a hill, like, isolated from everybody else a little bit. I mean, Manchester's not too far away, but back then it was too expensive to get to on the bus. So, we very rarely went. So we just could buy music what was in HMV.
Yeah.
So I remember for years we called AFI Affy because we bought a compilation and there was no dots between the letters on the back.
Oh.
So they were called Affy, and they had a girl singer. The singer sounded like a girl. So
same thing when Placebo came out, and loads of indie lads were like, "You seen that Placebo? She's fucking fit, mate." And then they found out, well, what's her name? Brian. Oh, fuck! Like, really, really angry about the fit bird from Placebo. Yeah, it was that.
That was back in the time. So that's 95. Like, so this is before the internet and all that. So I didn't even know what they looked like at all.
Yeah.
All we had to go off was the cartoon drawing of "Very Proud of You" that was on the inlay of this compilation CD from Nitro Records. So that was, you know, we didn't know what any of them looked like or anything.
Yeah.
So
and that was before there was any sort of spooky stuff going on. That was when they were still sort of quite
just a
quite hardcore.
Band.
Yeah.
And we thought, oh, brilliant! This is a hardcore band with a girl singer, and they sound great.
Yeah.
And so we'd be like in clubs going, "Have you ever heard of a band called Affy with a girl singer?" And people are like, "No." No. I'll never find that band. And then, like, it dawned on me a while ago.
I'm into some pretty underground shit. You won't have heard of it. It's really cool. I'm really big on Affy. Yeah. Oh god, you're accidentally posing. That's incredible.
Exactly.
But that's it, innit? But it's like NOFX were the same. They didn't put them themselves, and I still don't think they tend to put pictures of themselves. They put pictures of other people.
Was the one on Ribbed.
Yeah,
that was the only picture that existed for a long time, or that, you know, that. But then I got a video of what's that video called? 10 Years of Fucking Up.
Oh yeah,
and that just that and the Vans Walk for video that they got sort of glued into my VHS player. So after a while, I knew what they looked like.
Yeah.
But it took me a long time to see the Dead Kennedys for the first time, which is, you know, just a picture of them. I never knew what they looked like till I was like in my 20s, I think.
Yeah, no, they were, because they just had the Burning Cop car on Fresh Fruit, and then because they were so big on like artwork and the artwork being as vital and sort of what's the word I'm looking for, as sort of confrontational as the music, that the pictures themselves was sort of that's what the Bay City Rollers did. That wasn't
exactly
wasn't for punks. So
they put a picture of a different band on the back of the front cover of the first album.
They did, yeah. They got really. Was it like a tabernacle choir or something? It was something like that, wasn't it?
Yeah, they got. I've got that album with that picture on somewhere. But yeah, they got really in trouble for that.
Yeah, they did. It's always amazing the first time you hear Jello Biafra speak.
Oh God, yeah, I've been to a spoken word gig of his.
Yeah,
it was supposed to be an hour long. I think we left after about 2.5. He was still going full steam.
Yeah.
So
it's sort of this singing and then the most important thing you have to remember. It's like wow.
Well, Eddie, what you've got to remember.
Yeah. And the important thing. Yeah, and I've said this before, so regular listeners yawn with your mouths closed, but only Jello and Johnny Rotten think that by saying something you don't believe in a stupid voice is still like the height of like cutting sarcasm. Oh, my favorite president's Ronald Reagan. It's like, oh, sick burn. Wouldn't like to be Reagan right now.
Jello did bring us No Means No and what's the guy with the keyboard? Wesley Willis.
Oh, so, no, I absolutely love Jello Biafra. I just love I just love that he still thinks that is cutting. I find it quite charming in a way. But it's so sort of earnest and sarcastic all at once. It's really impressive.
It's amazing.
Yeah, absolutely wonderful. So that was that. How long after we are forming a band that sound like this to the actual band happening?
Not too long, to be fair. Probably about a year. It took us about a year, and then we played a gig. We just started playing gigs in Oldham and Rochdale and the surrounding areas, really. And then, GCSEs happened and, stuff like that. Work happened and stuff. And then we kept going, but just kept changing the name. So, we started off being called The Ungovernable Force after the Conflict album. And none of us could spell that. So we quickly changed it to Perfect Government. And then it just became a succession of stupider names. And then we got to where we are, basically, me and Rolls. And we've got a drummer, Chris, who's been with us for 8 years now. And that's the main thing. It's just been me and Rolls. And, drummers. And every time we've got a new drummer, we've changed the name.
Got you. So it's sort of, has the sort of the style changed? Or is it just changed to get on with you presumably getting better at your instruments and being able to accommodate new styles? Yeah,
definitely. Back to the thing about us being a bit stupid. We used to think brass were ska parts, just because we'd never heard it properly, and we just saw it written down in Kerrang. So we didn't, we didn't fully understand it. But yeah, I think we like NOFX. I wouldn't want to listen to our early stuff.
Well, look, don't worry about that. I knew someone who swore down that Rocket from the Crypt was ska, and it transpired they'd never heard them, but they had seen them, and they had like matching shirts, quiffs, and trumpets. So you're not going to hear a lot of upstrokes from those guys, mate. It's really not that, but But there's nothing quite as certain as a 13-year-old who hasn't got a clue what they're on about.
Exactly.
There's the certainty of that. If I could harness just a tenth of that now, I'd be able to make real decisions that would improve my life. But as it is, I'm not gonna.
Yeah. If I go back then and just give myself a slap as well, because I remember cutting a T-shirt down because I'd seen Johnny Rotten wearing a jumper that was like cut around the nipples, like down any jumper down. I did that with a jumper that said San Diego on it and put my swimming badges on and went to a gig just like that, at like 14. Like, what are you doing? Just what's going on here?
Those swimming badges, that's good. I think that's brilliant. It was like, I don't know if you're a fan of Doctor Who, but the era of Sylvester McCoy.
Oh yeah.
He had Ace as his companion, and she had a bomber jacket with loads of patches on it because they wanted to make her look kind of rock. But they were all like tourist patches from places and like 20 different football teams, and it was. So it was just sort of like, it was like, well, sort of, it is a jacket, and it was also like a bomber jacket. So it's like, it was a jacket with patches, but it wasn't
It was more
a jacket with patch.
Jacket, wasn't it? It was more of a skinheady type jacket.
Yeah. It was basically So that kind of thing. Yeah, and it was just sort of so close, and just the props department just had a bag of whatever and just slung it all together. I mean, this was 80s BBC, so and also they were trying to get rid of Doctor Who at the time, so the money was not being poured into it.
No.
That's a different podcast.
Yeah.
Cool. So so that's that sort of thing. So you sort of essentially been in this same band.
Yeah.
For all intents and purposes since 13.
Pretty much. Yeah. We had our first gig in front of 13 priests, which was strange. We got it. So we met our first drummer, about 4 hours before our first gig.
Wow.
So it was because we went to a Catholic school. It was all settled by the church, and let the kids have a fun day. These lads want to be in a band, let them play. And they didn't realise we were a punk band. And it was just a strange day for the start, that gig. I remember I didn't know there was any priests there, and being a punk rocking kid, I grabbed the microphone as I got on a stage and I said, "If you don't like us, you can fuck off." And then I looked at the crowd, saw all these priests staring back at me, and a couple of kids that I knew, and that was it.
Wow. That's pretty great, though. I've got to admit. I mean, the tableau in my mind is probably slightly cooler than what it actually was, but I'm going to leave it like that. I think it's better. Never let the truth get in the way, as it were.
Yeah, exactly.
Amazing. Well, I think we're going to bounce into the questions now. I'm interested about this because we've had to postpone this recording at least once. And you said that some of these answers to the questions you've been trying to put into, you've actually had time, and you've gone a little further than some people might have done. So that's exciting. But we'll take them in order as always. Do you have a favorite NOFX song?
So this was hard.
Yeah,
I tried my best to sort of like whittle it down as much as I could.
We're absolutely all right for honourable mentions as well. So
good. Because I've got two. I've got it down to two. So my two favourites are Liza and Louise and We Threw Gasoline on the Fire, and Now We Got Stumped for Arms and No Eyebrows.
Cool.
I think We Threw Gasoline is like a proto Decline, almost, in a way.
Yeah.
Because I'm a bass player, I've tried to play it on the bass, and it's all over the fucking place. It doesn't make sense, and it is really like 3 or 4 songs put into one, as he's wanting to do recently. So, and it's on a Punkorama. I think it's on Punkorama 3.
Yes.
So it's one of the first ones I heard that wasn't an album track.
Yeah.
And Liza and Louise is just the first one I always think of when I think of NOFX. That album, White Trash, just
yeah,
one
of
the first ones I heard. So that just sticks in my mind. But I've got so many others, like Olive Me or All of Me. That's on a Physical Fatness 3.
Oh yeah.
An amazing. I still can't play that bass line. But it's an amazing cover of a Willie Nelson.
It's an old jazz standard.
Yeah. There's that one, and then Eddie, Bruce, and Paul. It's just The Death of John Smith.
Oh yeah.
Drugs Are Good. See Her Pee. 2 on Glue and I'm Telling Tim. Are 2 amazing songs as well. But like when I first heard them, I had a compilation record from Germany called 200 Proof Punk, and it's 2 on Glue, but on the back it's called I Am Going to Tell Tim. And then when So Long comes out, they've got a song called I'm Telling Tim, and it's completely different. I'm like, oh right, well that's a different song then. And then can't remember if it's Fuck the Kids or if it's Surfer that's on one of them.
It's on Fuck the Kids.
Fuck the Kids, yeah. So yeah, that's amazing. And then I've Become a Cliche is a favourite of mine at the minute.
Oh yeah.
Just because the fandom I like, because I've been into them for so long. The albums are sort of like, I know they're always there. I'm sort of trying to catch Pokemon now almost with them. Like I'm trying to find the most rare songs, and I'm going. So like, but I've become a cliche. It's I just think it's a really good song. It's got everything in it. Like so, Mike's talking a lot in it about sort of drug use, or have asking people if they've got any drugs, and then FA's playing the trumpet on it, and at one point FA fucks up, and you can hear him shout "fuck" in the background.
Yeah.
It's just a weird little ditty that they kind of do every now and again. So like screaming for change, that kind of thing. But yeah, that always sticks in my head. And then some of the covers as well, like Fan Mail and Golden Boys.
Their version of Golden Boys is brilliant.
It's fantastic.
It's so good. The sound is massive. It's just, I mean, because that was on was that on Regaining Unconsciousness or something like that?
It's on the Never Trust a Hippie.
Never Trust a Hippie, that's right.
It came from the 7-inch of the Month Club.
Right.
It was one of them. Yeah.
But yeah, so that's where I heard it when I got the Never Trust a Hippie EP.
Yeah.
And I got that on CD, and I just remember hearing it, and it just sounded huge because it starts off with some weird sort of clicky, you got nowhere to go, all that stuff, and then just bang out. It sounds huge. Sorry, say again.
Have you ever heard the original?
It's I don't know who that's by. Who's it?
It's a weird band called Vagina Dentatas.
Dentata, Vagina Dentata.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah.
Yes, because for ages I thought it was the Germs, and I've no idea why. Because
it's Darby's last song he ever wrote, but they never got to record it. And the Vagina Dentatas, that's Pat Smear and the rest of the Germs.
Oh, okay, cool.
And that song came out on like a Flip Side fanzine compilation LP.
Oh, okay, right, yeah. So...
And clearly Fat Mike owned that because they've done that, and there's a cover, the Germs Forming is on that, and NOFX has done a cover of that as well. So
yeah,
so they clearly own that.
Yeah, that one was a really important one. Yeah, I think he said his the 7-inch he would save from the Flames is Bullet by the Misfits. His copy of that, I think he's got an original pressing of that from back in the day, and said, that's the one that he would keep.
I've never really thought of that. I don't
no. Well, what one doesn't, but I think he was on a podcast about vinyl specifically.
Right.
And talking about what he likes about it, why he still uses it, and all that kind of thing. It was a very I think the podcast host was used to much more vanilla guests than Mike, and all this kind of stuff. So he's like, because he's but anyway, so all that kind of thing. But no, that's it. The 7 inches and the vinyl rarity and stuff is something that NOFX have really maintained throughout their career, haven't they? They've
they've got a bit more cheekier with it recently, and Fat Wreck have in general. I think they've started to do more coloured stuff and different variations of stuff, whereas they used to just do one coloured version and then it was the black version and that was it.
Yeah. Well, it's a much more popular now than it was even 5 years ago.
Definitely,
I don't go there very often, but every so often if there's an HMV around, I have a look in out of sheer nostalgia. And the vinyl section, it's all like, 40 Licks by the Rolling Stones, Appetite for Destruction. It's all old records just being pressed new. It's like, what was the point in that? Like, yeah.
I nearly lost my rag one day when I walked into Sainsbury's and they had a vinyl stand in Sainsbury's and they were selling like Queen's greatest hits. And I just no, what are you doing this for? What is this?
Yeah.
For? So yeah. But that I'm a big fan of the NOFX vinyl, and the stuff that came out just on vinyl, like the 7-inch of the Muff stuff, is some of my favourite stuff, especially the first version of that, the 2007.
Right.
7 Inches of Mud. Some of my favourite songs are from that sort of run. Yeah, I'll talk more about them in the lyrics bit. But
yeah, sure. That's great. We did an episode with Lily from the Meths, and because they're on Bottles to the Ground, and I didn't realise Bottles to the Ground only released 10-inch vinyls.
Right.
That's everything they release is 10-inch vinyls. So the Meths had an album, and then they had to cut it down into 2 EPs. So that it could be released parts 1 and 2. So yeah, but you know.
Oh, I mean, we could do that. We could release it on a 10-inch, but I think one side would have to be etched.
Yeah, it was just a very strange thing. But then people have always played with vinyl. Billy Bragg's first album was 12-inch, but it was 45 RPM or something like that. It was the wrong. So John Peel played it, but he played it at the wrong speed, and then better change that. Sorry, I didn't realize put it on that way then, and came back, and so
I always like the factory record one with the durity column where they put it in sandpaper, so the outside layers would ruin your collection.
Oh yeah.
It was weighted in a way that it actually ruined the record because it warped the record over time because of the weight of the sandpaper. The vinyl. So well done there, Tony. Another great idea from you.
Oh yeah. So many good ones. Well, I think the best stunt like that was in the 70s when Kiss ran a competition
with Marvel.
I don't know, but they ran a competition that you could get a photo of Kiss without their makeup on.
Oh, right.
And there were 5 of these sent out across the US, and they came in these sealed, tamper-proof packaging.
Yeah.
And after an hour, the picture would have completely faded. So they looked at it, and before you could get journos round, take a photo of it, sell it off, after an hour, it was just gone.
Amazing.
Yeah, I'm like, you know what? You say what you like about Kiss. That is a fantastic piece of work. That's just absolutely cracking. So you can't do that anymore because everyone knows what everyone looks like. I remember when Slipknot tried it, and it was a matter of weeks before pictures of them without their mask somewhere online. Hey, nice try. They gave it.
We'll never find out who the Acrobats are truly. But
No. No. Not unless you go into the office of kids TV production places in the US and go, oh, it's all of this lot. I'm like, how could you tell? Except for the one who's made all the money in Blink-182, but
yeah.
It's really, really funny because he seems so placid, and they're like, okay, you got to wear this bodysuit and this weird helmet, and he's like, yeah, sure, whatever.
Well, no, apparently that was the point where he was like, no, are you taking the piss?
Oh, really? Oh,
yeah. Right. He was happy with it, for the pictures of the album cover and all that.
Oh, right.
But when the first gig came up, they were like, right, okay, we put the gear on, and the MC back commander went over to Travis, like, right, you gonna put the gear on? He's like, no, what are you talking about?
Right.
He had to have a bit of a conversation.
Oh, no. How does that not come up?
He probably wasn't listening when they were talking about it, to be fair.
That's almost the same. Would you like to join the Acrobats? Yeah, sure. Okay, so this one, then it goes to the Ska bit. Well, I'm not playing Ska. You've joined the Acrobats. Don't you know what you've signed up for? Anyway, we've digressed, but wonderfully. So, yeah. Well, clearly, you have access to pretty much everything they've recorded by the looks of it. So, do you have a favorite NOFX album?
I had a hard time. So, White Trash and obviously Punk and Drum It were the first ones I heard. They've got a big sort of thing in my memory, and I think that run from Ribbed to So Long and Thanks for All the Shoes is like the best run of albums a band's ever done. I mean,
it's essentially the 90s for NOFX.
Exactly, yeah. I mean, Evan Pettingzoo's got his problems, and there's bits of Rib that are a bit too metal, but overall, it's great. So to be fair, I've picked. I heard this up live because that sort of encompasses that time, apart from So Long and Thanks for All the Shoes. But everyone picked that. They don't. Everyone picks that because they don't want to pick Punkin Drublic. So yeah,
hot takes being spewed forth. I like it. I like it.
Well, I also wanted to pick Fuck the Kids or Surfer as well because I think I can do the dishwasher, like unload the dishwasher and load it back up, and it's done. You know, the album, like those are done, like they're over with, that thing.
I suppose absolutely. You can, I mean, I should really say favorite release because we're perfectly happy for people. I mean, some people have said the Decline, and it's like that's an EP. You're fine with that. So you know, it just whatever single disc release, you know, that's fine.
Yeah. But yeah, Fuck the Kids also, and I can't pick between those two because that's like I say, right up my alley of what I like about NOFX. Short, stupid songs. You know, My Name's Bud.
yeah.
You know, I can't remember the other stuff on there. Like, well, the Fuck the Kids and you know, Juice Head.
Yeah.
What you know, Party Enema and Go to Work Wasted and stuff like that. It's just I love it. I love that kind of stuff. So for me, yeah, those two are I Heard They Suck Live. Yeah, definitely, yeah.
I Heard They Suck Live is, I think I heard that one the most for a little while.
Yeah.
Because I sort of got into it when I got introduced to them. So Long was probably just released or just about to be released.
Right.
But it was we were all sort of reliant on each other for people were getting different bands. Yeah. Like people go, oh, well, this is my band.
Yeah.
And so someone already had NOFX. So you knew you had access because we would just be taping them off each other and stuff. So you knew someone had access to that. You go, well, I'll get that eventually.
Yeah.
Once I find a tape I don't want anymore, you know, cover it out and do all that. So yeah, so those one that, which is why sort of for me, So Long is just ubiquitous, and I can't even pick favorite songs off of it. I think of it as a single piece of music, you know, like a one whole thing.
Yeah.
Like if I hear one of the songs, if my music player's on shuffle and I don't hear the following song, I do get a little bit itchy. It's just one of those ingrained things, isn't it?
Yeah, there's certain songs where you've got to hear them in a row. Because we had White Trash and then Punkin Drublic on a tape. I can't hear the start of Fleas without thinking my mate's about to interrupt and say, "Oh shit," and then stop, and then it kicks back in because it was recorded on a tape.
Right? Yeah.
It's ingrained in your head, it's ingrained in my mind with that kind of stuff. So that's why I don't really listen to it as much as I used to, but I still put it on.
Yeah.
Every now and again, but it's just it's not as because I just know it's there.
Yeah, of course.
It'll always be there. Yeah.
That's to be honest, the permanence of NOFX is one of the reasons we started this podcast because they announced they were stopping touring and winding down a lot.
Yeah.
And it was like, what? I mean, I don't know what month they did their first rehearsal or whatever, but NOFX are the same age as me. And so basically I've only ever existed in a world with NOFX, and then that's going to change, and that's really weird.
I think I'm a year older than them.
Right, yeah. But it's just such a strange thought. It's like they've always been there, and it's
always been there, yeah. Since I've got into music like properly, they've always been there. They've always been around, and they've always been the sort of same way that they are, where they're gonna take the piss a little bit, be serious a little bit. NOFX and the Beastie Boys are the only band who could do a song where one part of it's taking the piss out of something and the other part of it's super serious. I couldn't name another band who could pull it off properly.
Yeah, I mean, I think some people maybe try, but you're either sort of a very po-faced sort of, you know, Rage Against the Machine or Anti-Flag or those kind of, you know, talking about very serious things and, you know, with some and doing it really, really well with some great tunes and stuff.
Yeah.
Or the sort of, the Vandals aren't addressing the prison system. You know what I mean? And you wouldn't want them to either. Well, mainly because one of them's like quite quite a right-wing Republican. So I definitely wouldn't want to hear their views on the prison system.
Yeah.
It's a holiday camp, but you know what I mean. Take that sort of perspective from it. I don't want to hear. I don't want to hear the Aquabats talk about the problem that drug prohibition
Abuse
causes.
problems in America.
Yeah, exactly.
Pharmaceutical abuse in America.
Yeah.
From the Aquabats.
Yeah, from the Acrobat. Yeah. Oh, I'm going to take that from some cunt in a snorkel. Yeah, it's not going to work, is it? I'd watch him try it. To be fair, if I'd found out that they had released their political album, I'd be right in line to get it.
Oh,
don't you worry.
Yeah, I'd have to buy it just to put it in the collection. But yeah,
absolutely.
But I think I was going back to I Third This Week Live. I honestly believe I could act that out as like a drama. Even the in between bits between songs, it's like it became a bit of a thing we'd do. We'd like John Parra and all that kind of act it all out as we were kids. So I could still probably do that now.
I still occasionally say to my friend, "She pierced my butt. It was cool." Because that line just it was really, really funny. Just yeah.
They're all nubbly. Was is a line I still use. They're like to describe things.
Yeah.
What's the dog covered in nubbly thing?
Yeah.
It's all nubbly.
It's the perfect description of a lion bar.
Exactly. Yeah.
What it brings to mind. So. Yeah, you don't get that from Anti-Flag. Hello everyone, Eddie here. Red and I hope you're enjoying our show. If you have been and would like to help us make it a little more easily, then you can donate to us at our Ko-fi page, which is ko-fi.com/punkrockelite, or you can look in the show notes for our link tree. If you can't help us financially, we totally understand, but would love it if you spread the word to other people who would like this podcast. We thank you for your continued support. We massively appreciate it. Back to the show. You have a favourite lyric from all of the lyrics available?
Yes. So
cool.
Yes, I've got a couple there. So the first one is from All My Friends in New York.
Mm-hmm.
The line, "How many times can you listen to Blondie, The Clash, The Ramones, and that Strokes song?" Still makes me chuckle to this day. And I've heard it like 10, 15 years ago now, or whatever, 2007, whenever that came out.
Yeah.
So, but I know people like that who just listen to 3 or 4 bands and that's it. They don't listen to anything else.
Yeah.
And they've got like one song by a band. So that just it makes me chuckle every time. That one. The one from this one, my hubcaps cost more than your car. Have you heard that one?
Yeah.
So the second verse of that, your epitaph was written by a cardinal. Your coffin was carved out of a tree. Your funeral was attended by thousands, but your overdose was arranged by me. I just think that's witty and dark at the same time. It's like one of the darkest lines I think they've ever written. Really.
Yeah. And do you know what that lyric always reminds me of "Healthy Body, Sick Mind" by Operation Ivy, where it says, your sneakers cost what would feed me for a month, or something like that. There's a line like that in there. I know he's a big Operation Ivy fan, so it may be
big mates with Tim Armstrong, isn't he? Like?
Well, yeah, absolutely. But it may be homage, or it may be just remembered, and stuff stays in there, doesn't it?
But the first time I heard that song, that I think is one of the only NOFX songs that has struck me where the lyrics, I heard the lyrics first before I heard anything else.
Right.
And I was just, wow, it's a really dark, but I was laughing through it as well, so it's one of them, it always makes me sort of like, giggle, but think, whoa, that's a dark places they've gone there, sort of thing for that one. What were the other ones? All the lyrics to Hero Joanna, especially the last line there. If God invented plants and buds that I find to abuse, then who the hell are you to judge me? And then also the one-way ticket to fuck Neckarsville. This one just sticks in my head. I don't know why. It just always sticks in my mind. This one. Is everyone supposed to be impressed with your ability to make people feel less important than you. And
Yeah.
I don't know why that sticks in my mind, but it's just one of them where recall, I suppose, that. And also CRP.
Oh, yes.
I don't know what he's talking about in that. I've never seen a woman's tits that look like burritos that had exploded. I don't know what he's talking about. So
No, I don't.
he's painting a vivid picture there, though. So, and it just again, one of those short ones that, yeah, I just love.
I'm guessing that is something that he did see.
Probably, yeah.
Someone was either rat-assed or didn't care and was just like, I need a slash. I'm going between these cars. You know, the street is really well lit. Nah. It's going to happen, you know.
I can get a song out of this.
Yeah, absolutely. Like, wait a minute. Not a very long song. Perfect. I've got just the release for this.
Yeah. I've got just the weird bit, just weird enough bass line for this one. Yeah. So yeah, those were the ones, the lyrics wise, that I've written down. Yeah.
Yeah, no, that's great. It's there's I think apparently I heard he's doing a coffee table book of his lyrics and explaining the stories behind some of them.
Brilliant.
Apparently, that's one of the many projects he has coming up. So
I'm having that. I'll buy
absolutely.
that. Yeah. Because there is some that I don't get, and I've always wondered for years, like, what is he talking about here? What is going on in this? I know, like, I think We Threw Gasoline on the Fire is about Tim Yost or whatever he's called from Maximum Rock and Roll.
Johannan. Tim Yost was the Blue Power Ranger, wasn't he? Or is he Christopher Yost? No, Christopher Yost is a comic book writer.
Oh my god!
I'm not sure.
My brain's collapsing.
No, it's all right. I don't know. I'm certain that the Blue Power Rangers' surname was Yost, but
my mind's folding in on itself.
I think it's Johannan.
Yes, it is. It is.
Okay, good. Because I've said that a few times now, and I've still yet to check. So yeah,
yeah, it is. Yeah, but I think it's about him and Maximum Rock and Roll. That, but I'm not 100% sure, and I've just may have made that up myself. So,
because at the end he says, "I do miss my old friend Tim."
Yeah, but if you look at the lyrics, he's sort of talking about poses within punk. I think really a lot of the lines in it, like and I think he's sort of having a go at Maximum Rock and Roll, the magazine. Like the first line, brilliant, a word best describing dumb. I think he's like what probably they'd say about an album, you know, and stuff like that. You know, but I'm looking into that probably a bit too much.
Well, no, I think it's a one of those things. Yeah, it's a prophet not to be made but heard, all that kind of thing. Speaks in tongues and sarcasm. I think it's about how snooty the zine got.
Yeah.
But that he really, really did like the guy who ran it.
Yeah. As a person.
Yeah.
He got snooty with what he did in his job.
He started to believe his own press, which can happen to the people who hate posers as much as it can to the posers. You know, we're all there's always potential of getting too big for your boots, isn't it?
Exactly.
Yeah, because that's where, you know, I'm telling Tim, which is a much more sort of fond, or seemingly slightly more fond, and you know, it's but that's
more jokey. I think that one. It's more tongue in cheeky. We're gonna have a go at your butt.
Well, he's playing the guy who'd be sucking up to Tim.
Yeah,
he's playing the sycophant character of. Oh, did you hear they've left Lookout? Oh, I can't believe it. You know, one of those ones.
Sellouts.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. You'll not be able to play Gilman Street anymore.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And that's it's like, oh, can we gatekeep them, Tim? Can we? You know, all that kind of good stuff. Yeah, and I think that I'd love to see a book of those lyrics explained, because it's also, I mean, certainly from their band biog, you know, the autobiography of the band, that there's so many little looks into what it was like in the 80s punk scene in Los Angeles that you don't get in places. I mean, we know what 77 in London was like.
Yeah.
Because, partly because of, what's his name? Someone Savage, who wrote England's Dreaming, which is so dense, but very, very good. And lots of other people who go, I was there. And it's like,
exactly.
Yeah, sure
it's
you were.
documented that era, wasn't it? Like,
yeah, absolutely. This, with sort of gangs and, all of this stuff. It's like, it's just another world. It's just insane.
You've got that decline, the first decline of Western civilization as a really, but that's about it. I know that there's the Dead Kennedys filmed a bit of stuff.
All right.
For their recording of In God We Trust, and it's mainly them in the studio, but they do have a bit of live stuff, and some of the live stuff just look. You wouldn't want to go to that gig.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Oh, I'm far too afraid for that kind of thing. No.
Yeah, no, I'll stand in the back and just be cowering.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it sounds so frightening and lawless for sort of modern ears, but
Then also when you listen to the Cokie the Clown stuff,
oh yeah,
he doesn't paint a very nice picture of it at all. So.
No. No, really not. Yeah, that Cokie the Clown, I've only listened to it a couple of times. I think it's really, really good.
Yeah, it is
but
good. Yeah,
you've got to be in the right frame of mind to listen to that, I think.
Yeah, it's like the last two albums.
Yeah,
they've gone super dark on them.
Yeah,
and it sounds a bit. They sound really quiet as well, compared to other albums. But they've gone just a bit too dark, and I'm just they're not. Nothing really sort of sticks in your head off as much as I find anyway.
Yeah, the only one that's really stuck with me is Don't Count on Me.
Right.
But I think that's because Mel's singing the chorus.
Right.
And it just sounds so good. Like, just those little moments of it really stick with me. And well, that's apparently they've spent a huge amount of time on that, and the last time they spent as long on an album was Heavy Petting Zoo.
And look where that got us.
I think that's the reason they did Fuck the Kids. So he wrote them quickly. They recorded it the first take they got through to the end.
Yeah,
pretty much all right.
It might show him the day before or something.
It was pretty much in the studio. They put it down live and then put the vocals on afterwards. I think it was, taught it to him, recorded it. Next track.
Have you ever heard that at all? The split they did with the Spit.
I have, yes.
So they did a cover. They've done a cover of themselves on this of "Hold It Back," which is on the sort of Maximum Rock and Roll stuff. I think.
Oh, right.
It's not on Liberal Animation.
I don't think so. No, it might be on the Mystic EP compilation thing.
Yeah, I think it is. I think it's on that stuff. If they did that, if they re-recorded the Mystic stuff, I think that'd be amazing. Just going off that track alone, because that is fantastic. But yeah, I think the sort of, if they were going to re-record some old stuff, maybe do all the Mystic stuff, redo all that.
Red has a theory that they think that they're going to record the first 3 non-Hefe albums.
Oh, right. What
as they are. I don't know, or certainly thinks that would be like Red really wants them to get an idea of what NOFX now would be like 40 years ago.
Ah, right. Okay. Right.
And
I'd definitely say do the Mystic stuff. I wouldn't.
Yeah.
Maybe Liberal Animation, because that is bad. But you got to leave. Ribbed, they've already done.
Yeah, that's true. They did the live one, yeah.
Yeah. So yeah. It'd be interesting to hear all that. Yeah. It would be interesting to hear. Definitely.
Yes, it's a funny one, but that's just how it goes. Okay, cool. Oh, do you have a favorite memory of NOFX?
Yes. So, 98 was the first time I saw him in May 1998. During my GCSEs. I cheated on my French exam by recording Champs-Élysées on a tape and handing that in, saying it was me. And so I went to the gig on Saturday night. They played Champs-Élysées. I went, oh, brilliant. Jumped forward and somebody jumped backwards and I broke my nose at the gig. I'd spent the next 3 or 4 songs with the St. John's ambulance guy watching LFE play from the side. And then, so they started me out and then, went about. I had my music GCSE on Monday morning and I remember bleeding on the paper from that.
Oh, no.
But so yeah, that's like karma.
The only musical qualification you need.
Yeah, that was sort of karma, I suppose, get me back a little bit. But yeah, that, and then when I saw him the last time, which was 2014 at the Rebellion Festival, I was right at the front. I had a brilliant time, and then after it, Mike walked up and down the front, and I had a bit of a chat and you call it a thumb war.
Oh yes, he's big on that, isn't he?
Mike. So I was very happy with that. I've had a thumb war with one of my idols, if you will, if you want to use that word.
Yeah. No, that's good. There's a few sort of little things. A thumb war with Fat Mike is sort of there in that sort of god tier interactions, isn't it? There's,
definitely.
Similar to comedian Ali Bryce we had on a week or two ago, who he got the bro package for the Hatfield gig.
All right.
So he got to meet them all. And after his photo with Smelly hit him in the nuts.
Nice.
Which is like, oh, okay, cool. Yeah, that's tick.
Really, I didn't go to that last gig in Leeds just because it was on my birthday. So my missus had stuff planned for us, but I didn't want it to end. I don't want it to end really. So if I don't go and see him, they've not finished.
Fair enough. Yeah, that's fair enough. Well, I live in Leeds, so I thought it was. How on earth was I not going to? Red's only in Sheffield, so it was like, it's
makes sense for you guys.
Super close, so we were there, and it was. It got emotional. They had to keep on reining in their sort of emotion because they had so many songs to get through. Because they're like, we're doing 2 albums plus a few of the, the hits and stuff, or or just the these, that, and the other. So yeah, it was particularly odd.
But so was there not that much banter then?
Not a massive amount. There was still some though.
Right.
There was still some. They didn't knock it off completely. They did omit Jeff wears Birkenstocks. They didn't have time for that one. But they also have been having bathroom breaks in these gigs. They play about an hour, go off to the bathroom. I mean, I'm guessing Mike's using the cistern rather than the bowl, but it's my theory anyway. But but also I can believe they did need a slash as well. They're getting on a bit. It's not the bladder isn't what they used to be and all the rest of it. But yeah,
no, not at all.
They sounded good though. They really did. It's a shit. I think we got the last really good one. Right. I think Hatfield was okay, and then as soon as they got to Europe, he lost his voice, and everything started going off, and people getting very angry. So they may be prolonging this final tour of theirs to go back and do a better job.
Status quo / Kiss thing, and just keep being on your final ever tour.
Well, maybe. I mean, apparently Mike has said, "No, once this is done." And we'll see.
Fingers crossed.
Well, yeah, he tends to stick by stuff. Well, we'll find out. We can never be sure. So the broken nose in May of 1998.
Yeah, definitely my most fond memory.
Nice. I'm excited about your answer for this question because this is I'll just ask it and let you let us in. But what do you think is the best way to introduce NOFX to a non-fan?
So, my wife Catherine doesn't like punk really. Doesn't really like music that much. She used to, but yeah. So she's heard me talk about them, but she's never really listened to NOFX.
Mm-hmm.
So I thought, right, okay, I'm going to try this experiment out with you. What is the best way of me doing this? So I sat her down and we watched Backstage Passport.
Oh yeah.
And I thought this is the best way to introduce you to them and to sort of in this world. There's no the world we're living in at the minute. There's no point sending somebody to Spotify because they can just get lost in album tracks and you put it on shuffle and just spew out whatever it wants, sort of thing. So sitting down and then so I've given her also now Appetite Bathtub and I have a read of that.
Yeah.
So she's slowly getting into it. I'm getting her into it sort of that way, and she's become a typical NOFX fan instantly, where she's Smelly's a favorite member. Really likes it when Melvin sings. She likes LF because he's funny, and Fat Mike says things that's stupid sometimes, but he's all right. So
yep. That's the experience, isn't it? Yeah.
yeah. So she's been in 7 days, she's become a fully fledged NOFX fan.
Wow, this is the first actual case study that we've had of this. This is fascinating. I love it.
So this is what I did. So I started her off with music-wise. I started her off with American Errorism.
War on Errorism.
War on Errorism. Sorry, yeah.
American Idiot by NOFX.
Yeah, that and Pump Up the Volume.
Oh yes,
because I noticed when that came out that a lot more people that weren't into punk but were into sort of rocky stuff got into NOFX on that album. Which is a bit strange.
There's no ska on it.
No. Yeah. No, there isn't. Yeah.
There's virtually no trumpet. It's a lot more, and it's not quite as fast as So Long or something like that.
No.
Or not overall as fast.
They do have the jokey song at the end.
The theme.
NOFX album.
Yes.
Yeah. But
they have that, and they have. Well, there's a couple. Actually, I think that's the only sort of jokey one on it. The only sort of straight up comedy one. There's.
The Pharmacist's Daughter, isn't there? There's comedy sort of titles and little bits of laughs and jokes here and there, but
nothing that's sort of musically funny.
No.
Those songs are sort of very straightforward songs. You change the lyrics and you wouldn't think that was a joke song if you like, that kind of thing. Oh, well, apart from the Now for Something Completely Similar, which...
Yeah, but that's the sort of in-joke for NOFX fans really more than...
Yeah, absolutely. It's, so that, okay. And how's she been getting?
So, yeah, she's slowly getting on with that. She came back and she said she's listened to them. She enjoyed them. She didn't think... she thought they'd be more shouty.
Okay.
One of her phrases.
Yeah.
But yeah, she did enjoy the music. So I'm going to say, right, okay, well, now let's try the more heavy stuff like Punk in Drublic or White Trash. Let's try those two and see how you get on with those. Yeah.
Interesting.
She's slowly getting into them, but I think this day and age, that's probably the best way to get someone into them.
You've got to
passport, give them the book, and just let them find their own way with the music.
There is a huge amount. That's the thing. It's not like 15 albums, and then half of their discography is on EP and 7-inch and stuff. Anyway,
you look on Spotify, and I think there's something like 750 hours of NOFX on there, and that's not even all of it. You're missing a lot on Spotify. So there's a lot to listen to. So to just go, here's their back catalogue, off you pop.
Yeah. It's really, really tricky. And it is as disparate as... it's as disparate as saying to someone, here's the Beatles, and playing them I Want to Hold Your Hand and Revolution number 9 back to back. You'd be like, what? How is this? You give them...
playing them I Am the Walrus straight after it all.
Yeah, absolutely. And then... and all that kind of stuff. It's like, what the fuck is this? There's nothing. This is not one band. Whereas you play them some, day to days, and then Champs Elysees. It's like
play them together on the sand, and then the Decline.
Yeah.
Next to each other.
Yeah.
But to be fair, I should have mentioned before. Together on the Sand has got one of my favorite lyrics as well. Country music playing on the radio, so I turned it off. Amazing line.
Yeah, well, that was the least trouble they ever got in slagging off country music.
With country music, yeah.
Yeah. They've not done well with that, have they? Fucking hell. Half the reason that's possibly, those comments are in part a reason that this podcast actually started. They forged it because then they stopped being able to tour as easily, and then they was like, we don't like touring anymore.
Yeah.
Done.
Plus, I think them getting rid of Kent didn't help as well.
Well, I think he still does their sound.
He does, but he doesn't. He's not their manager anymore.
No.
And they've got rid of a couple of other guys. And Jay Walker's not with him.
Jay and Limo. Limo's a barber.
Yeah. So
and Jay's working for other people. Yeah.
Yeah, the fun from touring has sort of gone out of it as well. Really.
Yeah. Well, they have the guitarist from Goldfinger with them on tour at the moment, playing the ska parts.
Right.
In like All Out of Angst and stuff like that, and because they were played by one of the Boss Tones on the So Long album.
Was it not Dustin Langer then? Because I've got that album, the Porno album.
Right.
Like Dustin Langer did. That's it. Have you ever heard that?
Yeah, the Rubber Bordello soundtrack. Yeah.
I really want to play poker on and tie a lady to a train track listening to it, but it's great.
It is really good. No, it's proper funny, that one. Yeah, no, I really like that one. No, they've had a couple of people do. I think Sasha from the Mad Caddies played it on their cover of Radio by Rancid.
Right.
Melvin and Hefe, not that great at ska guitar, so good enough for live, but for the studio, they just get other people to do it. So now they're doing that for the final shows and stuff. It's absolutely no, make it work.
Yeah, you're right.
So we've sort of maybe touched on it a little bit, but what do you think is NOFX's legacy? What does their legacy look like?
I think they'll be remembered as one of the best punk bands ever, to be fair, and I think a pioneer of DIY punk as well, because you can't, they are, the kings of DIY punk, really, in a way. They've started their own label. They've never signed to a major label. They've always refused MTV to play their stuff, and they're the biggest independent punk band, I think, going, of them or Bad Religion.
Yeah.
So I think, and then now with the Punk Rock Museum, which is a bit of a weird idea, but at the same time, the stuff they've got in there, you sort of see that, someone needed to put that somewhere and document it.
Joe Strummer's last bag of weed.
Yeah, and so they've got a settee Kurt Cobain once sat on.
I think that one's from the Duchess in Leeds. I think it might be, because certainly that was the green room thing at the Duchess of York in Leeds, which my teenage band played about a week before it closed. It's a shoe shop now. It's deeply upsetting. But yeah, back in the 90s, and there were photos of Kurt Cobain sleeping on this sofa. So if it is that, I mean, he slept on 1,000 sofas though, hasn't he? Let's face it. But every time I hear Kurt Cobain slept on a sofa, I go, "What? Like that? Was it the Duchess in Leeds? Oh my god!" Get proper excited. Turn into a fucking 16-year-old again. What? No way, Kurt Cobain was it? Yeah. Kind of sad, but yeah, there's all sorts of stuff. But the thing is that it's a living museum, so they you can play the guitars, you can sit on that settee. Yeah, absolutely. It's I think because the idea of a punk museum doesn't sound very punk, but the way they're doing it is as punk as it can be. So exactly. That's my.
And like I say, I think stuff like that has got to be documented. Like, like I said before, I think, Jello releasing Wesley Willis's music and stuff. No one else is going to do that.
Yeah.
And it needed to be done, because some of it is fucking brilliant.
Yeah. Well, it's weird. I'm only thinking about this because I went to see the 1927 film Metropolis, the German silent film with like a live improvised score,
right?
The other week, and sort of before it, the guy gave a little talk, and he said that 90% of all silent films that were ever made are lost forever.
Yeah,
we'll never know what they were. There may be some vague description somewhere, but every so often you find a new one in a tin somewhere in an attic or in weird places and stuff. And now film historians would kill for that. These little cinema Indiana Jones types going around trying to find this shit. And if you don't have that for punk rock, the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame is not going to put the germs anywhere.
No.
They're not going to, so it needs to be done. And it's brilliant that it is, whilst a lot of the people involved are still around.
Exactly. They're like, no one else is going to put the toy dolls anywhere.
Yeah, yeah, exactly.
No one, like the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame will never recognize how good of a guitarist Olga is, or anything like that. But but there's bands like Frenzel Romp are high standard.
Yeah.
What they've done for Japan and Australia and stuff like that.
Yeah, absolutely.
And stuff like that. No one, someone's got to document it. Like I said. So yeah, I think that them being the sort of the top dogs of DIY punk to me, and just also being one of the funniest bands live in the world. That's that's their legacy, really. I suppose. Yeah.
Yeah, I think the interesting thing about Fat Records is if you look at Epitaph's roster now, it doesn't look like it did in the 90s.
Oh no. They went through a weird stage of putting a lot of hip hop out as well.
Yeah, there's hip hop. There's all sorts of sort of a lot. They've really diversified the sound from what it originally was, and there are business reasons for doing that. We need to make money to help these artists, so we need to have stuff that people want to buy. Whereas Fat have sort of resisted that.
Yeah, almost.
It goes the record contracts get offered to people that Mike likes and thinks will fit on it, and that's why he started he did Pink and Black and Honest Dons and those sort of sub labels for people who weren't the Fat sound, and Bottles to the Ground. Fat Records wasn't going to put out Fishbone, but Bottles to the Ground, they can put out Fishbone. So it's or the Meths who don't have the Fat sound.
But they're big mates with that Frank Turner, aren't they? So yeah.
Yes, so that's how apparently that's how they got in touch with Fat Mike, because they finished recording and Lily and Lewis said, "So now we have an album. What do we do? Do we just send it to people? Do we put it out ourselves?" He goes, "Oh, you can send it." Goes, "Well, who are we going to send it to? What, Epitaph or Fat?" He goes, "I can send it to Fat Mike if you want." And what, well, really? He's like, yeah, give me a moment. So he sends it to Fat Mike, and then they got an email saying, "I like your record, Fatty." and then got in touch and said, "Do you want to put it out?" And they went, "Yeah, go on."
Oh well, the days of throwing a CD at somebody on the stage have long gone, and just ignoring it.
Yeah. Now it's like a thumb drive or a QR code. So yeah, scan this and goes to my Bandcamp, my SoundCloud or something. Yeah. That's great. Now we come to the most important question.
All right.
The most important question: who is your favorite member of NOFX?
Well, I answered this question in 2008 when I went to see them in the Ritz in Manchester, because they had 4 T-shirts on the wall. It was NOFX, and on them was Smelly, Melvin, Fat Mike, and LFA. You could buy one, and on the back it said like NOFX. It said their name. There's NOFX, I think. So I bought and I'm wearing it tonight, the LFA one.
Oh wow!
So I've got it on, and on the back, I can't know if you can see that, but it says El Jefe's NOFX.
Oh wow!
So I've always been a no El Jefe. I always thought, even as a 13-year-old, he improved the band and made it better. Like I love Rib. I think Rib's a great album, but he just like White Trash is just amazing. Like, and he just improved the band overall in general, I think. And after watching Backstage Passport again, I want to give an honorable mention to the crew, like Kent and Limo and Jay and those guys. I'd love to hang out with those lot for a day as well.
Yeah. That's great. I think that's a brilliant thing to point out. Ali Bryce said, "I don't know any other band's crew's names."
No, not at all. Couldn't tell you anybody's like that.
Absolutely. Oh, there was that guy from the Transplants who roadies for Rancid.
I don't even know them. No, I don't. Never heard of them. Like, no, I don't. In fact, actually, that's madness.
Yeah. But that's it. It's who are the famous roadies? There aren't any. The famous you only know someone was a roadie. Like Lemmy was a roadie for Jimi Hendrix.
Yeah, and
so
then
technically I know one of Jimi Hendrix's roadies, but only because he was in Motorhead.
Yeah, I know. Money Mark was a joiner for the Beastie Boys.
Oh right.
And he built them some cabinets in their studio, and he was like, "Oh, I can play piano." And all right, go on then. And then that's how he got started.
That's how Harrison Ford got into the movies.
Exactly, yeah.
He was a carpenter. It's a good trade.
But yeah, so that's the only other thing though, like the only other band where I know an auxiliary member of them. Like, but with NOFX, like I know the manager, the sound, the drum tech,
Yeah. The mod from Snuff, Lee the mod, used to play keyboards for him.
Yeah.
And then he stopped doing that, and then they went, "Oh, Limo knows enough keyboards to just get by, so we'll have him do it." He played keyboards for him for years.
Well, when not to name drop it, when we played with Snuff, the mod was playing for them.
But
that
nice.
Was quite recent. That was trying to see the poster on the wall there, 2021. So
cool.
Quite recent, yeah. There, yeah.
I get the feeling Snuff are a bit of a come and go band as far as members go.
Yeah. As long as there's Loz and Duncan there.
Yeah, that's Snuff enough, innit?
Yeah.
There are some, but that's the thing is that once Hefe joined the band, it really cemented. And when we were looking at, we did when we do the album sort of deep dives and stuff, we actually put The Longest Line and White Trash in the same episode, because we're like, this is the introduction of Hefe, like the first year, and they use him so much.
Oh, definitely.
So much trumpet, so many voices. Like on White Trash, he does 3 different voices on the 3 different songs. He does Buggly Eyes, he does Straight Edge, and Johnny Appleseed.
Johnny Appleseed as well, yeah.
And there's the trumpet solo in Bob and all the rest of it. They really, really lay it on thick.
You can tell as well that he's influencing the music a little bit, because at the start of that, of The Death of John Smith, is the most RKL sounding the NOFX have ever been.
Yeah, absolutely.
Really. And then by the end of White Trash, that's gone out the window, and they're full freaking toy dolls almost. Like Buggly Eyes and that kind of thing.
Yeah, absolutely.
But I think the RKL influence on them is massive as well. Like
it is, yeah.
As well there.
Oh, they're brilliant. But the RKL sort of comes and goes.
Definitely.
Like sort of sometimes it's really writ large, and other times it's sort of completely absent.
Little parts here and there.
Yeah.
But I think recently he's been talking a lot about Fatty has been saying a lot about Rudimentary Peni, and how he wanted, the last album was how the drums on Rudimentary Peni's album sound, and he wanted
it to sound like Death Church.
Yeah, the Big Drag.
Yes,
that's their big Peni influence sort of album.
Yeah,
that'd be my album, Put in the Fire.
Oh really?
Yeah, Death Church. I've got that, and I got that for free because the guy didn't know what he had.
Wow.
he put it inside a copy of Christ the album, like
right,
and thought it was the poster for that, and thought Christ the album had 3 records, so I got that for like a £5.
wow,
And it's like virtually untouched. It's perfect sort of thing.
oh
yeah,
wow,
that'd be my run out the fire. I'd grab that. Yeah,
fantastic, sweet. Well, thank you ever so much, Danny. I really appreciate this.
No worries. Thank you very much for having us on. This has been brilliant.
Absolutely welcome. Where can people find your various endeavours, Crash Mats and the Hello and Hoof and all that stuff?
So, Hello and Hoof video podcast chat show. Check that out on YouTube at Horn and Hoof Records YouTube page.
Lovely.
The Crash Mats were on Spotify and iTunes. We've got a new album coming out at the start of September.
Oh, cool.
69 Spotify listeners can't all be wrong. We've got our other albums on there, 69 Peruvian Panpipe Classics, and now that's what I call Crash Mat 69. We're immature, if nothing else.
I'm sure plenty more.
Exactly, yeah. So, so that new, and then we've got loads of gigs in Oldham coming up. So come and if you're into punk rock, 12th of August, if this is out, then we had a big gig with Wonk Unit and Goodbye Blue Monday coming and Incisions, loads of good bands. So yeah, it's gonna be good. So yeah, I've got all that. Yeah.
Amazing. Well, thank you very much, Danny. You truly are one of the punk rock elite, and we'll let you go now. Thank you ever so much.
Brilliant. Thank you very much.
You're welcome. Oh, Danny Barrett, is there something upon which he has no opinion? No. Lovely interview. I remember enjoying it greatly. I would highly recommend you look for the Crash Mats, that you look for Horn and Hoof Records and the Hello and Hoof podcast. It's a video podcast. It's all exciting, and there's all daft mucking around in it. Great.
That's cool.
Yes. So yeah, absolutely, and we'll put links to all of that stuff in the description. So yeah, if you've got anything you'd like to add to that, punkrockelitepodcast@gmail.com, we'll get back to you. Yeah, so pretty good, really. I think we might even have a little bit of what is the name for it? Correspondence. Oh yes, so here we go. Zach Allen got in touch on Insta. Said, just found your podcast and I love it. NOFX is my favourite band and the discussions about the albums is awesome. Keep up the great work, lads! !
Awesome.
Yeah, it's nice, isn't it? So thank you very much, Zach. Really appreciate it. Hope you're still enjoying it all. When you eventually get to this point, because I know what it's like when you've got a backlog of podcasts you just found. You know, if you like to start at the beginning, then you'll be wading through the mire to begin with. So that's good. So yes, thank you ever so much. Yeah, really exciting. So yeah, you got anything coming up, Red?
Oh, no, you know, like I've got this wedding, and then
yes, of course.
I've done that thing. You know when you've got like a big social engagement coming up, and you're like, the week behind it does not exist until this social interaction is complete, and then I can look towards the future and have my life back.
I fully understand. Yes, I'm off on so on Saturday going to be waking up in Leicester, and then when back home going to see Teenage Werewolves, a Cramps tribute act at the Irish Centre, and I believe there's a Bauhaus tribute act.
Oh, cool!
Yes, my girlfriend.
That's a great pairing.
Yes, it is. Yes, absolutely. So we've got sort of pure goth to start with, and then sleaze afterwards. So very excited about that. So yeah, so the weekend's looking nice for me. I said that like a weather reporter. So the weekend looking nice for me. Cool. We'll see you all next time. Thanks so much, Red.
Goodbye. Thank you so much, Eddie.
Bye. Thank you for listening to Punk Rock Elite. It was a Pick Scraped and Fruitcake co-production by Eddie French and Red Redmond. If you're not following us on Instagram or subscribed to the podcast, please do. The main theme and production was done by Eddie French. Please contact us at punkrockelitepodcast@gmail.com. Thank you.